What's up, YouTube? So welcome to today's video. We are talking about the top 5 lessons that you can take from Taylor Swift's Red release and implement them in your business. If we haven't met, I'm Elisa Kay and I'm a social media strategist and coach, and I help small business owners amplify their marketing, amplify their social media channels so they can book more clients with more ease. And I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift. So if you're like me and you love Taylor and you want to learn how to take some of her marketing lessons and really amplify your social media presence, then watch this recording from my Facebook group. And I hope you do all the YouTube things, like and subscribe. And I would love to know more about who you are and what you do inside of the comments. All right, on with the video. Where do we start? We start with Taylor Swift. If you don't know what's happening this week, then cool, that's fine. You're not necessarily a Swiftie. But Taylor Swift is re-releasing her music. She's re-releasing her music because basically this is a standard practice inside of the music industry where essentially if you are signed with a label, they own the masters. So the masters are the original tracks that you record. So the problem with this is that a lot of young artists sign on with these labels, they get a cash advance, and the label owns the music. So the label owns the copyright, and the label basically makes money off of the music that the artist originally created. Now, in Taylor's specific case, she could have signed on again with her label after her first 5 albums were done and record a new album to earn back the rights to the first 5. So essentially, the deal was you can re-sign with us and we'll give you the rights back to your first 5 albums if you give us 5 more. Taylor decided to not do that. She decided to sign with a different company and was very put out when someone who she didn't like and who allegedly bullied her for however long bought those masters. So her argument was, I didn't have the chance to buy them back myself. No one offered them to me, I think. That's pretty much what I've read. So she is a boss queen as far as I'm concerned. And she decided to re-release her music so that every time, her fans can still enjoy the music that she's created. She can still sing the songs that she loves so much. And when radio stations play her version in brackets, it basically means that she can earn money from those tracks, which I think is really, really innovative and cool and stands for something. So I wanted to talk to you about why that's genius, number 1. Number 2, talk to you about how you can use some of the marketing, because I was never really a huge Taylor Swift fan back in the day when she first came out with her first, I think 3 albums. I was like, who is this girl? She seems cool, but I wasn't really into country music. She was very sweet. I don't know, the whole prince castle thing wasn't necessarily for me originally. But when I got excited and saw how she uses social media specifically to engage and interact with her fans, how she uses her social media following, and how she's used it to cross over these genres and beat records and completely change the way that we view music using social media, what better thing to talk about on the eve of Decoding Social's, Phoenix Rising revolution? And I think it's really, really important that every single small business owner takes a page out of Taylor's book and starts to think about how they can use social media to create these super fans. I was never a massive fan of Taylor's until I saw her use of social media and until she got me excited to look for clues, to look at her videos, to look for these Easter eggs and be involved in the co-creation process of her artistry. And I think we as people who want to have impact, want to have growth, want to have real change in the world, we could take a page out of that book and see how we can apply it to our businesses. So I have my notes. As you know, I will always advocate for doing a little outline because if you know me, I like to talk for England. I can give you a full Taylor Swift marketing masterclass right now. So I'll try not to talk too much, which is why I have an outline. So let's get started. We've done the background on the re-release. We've done why it's important for you. And the thing that really sparked this actually was this. I was waiting this morning. I went to Starbucks to work and I had my beautiful, oh my God, this toffee nut latte in Starbucks is the best thing that I think I've had in 3,000 years. I would 100% recommend in the Christmas whatever collection. It was so good. I was sat there with my latte. I'd done a few hours of work and it was 3 o'clock my time. And I was sat there waiting with these 250,000 people at 57 p.m. for this video to premiere. And I felt like I was part of the fandom. I felt like, oh my God, like this is so exciting. She's re-releasing this video. It's going to be good. It's directed by Blake Lively, i.e. Serena van der Woodsen. I think that's how you say her original name. And I'm so, I was just sat there at 3 p.m. Waiting in anticipation as if this was I don't know, the last rush I ever had of this was signing up to a Tony Robbins event. That was the amount of excitement that I had waiting for this video, because I felt like she was doing this for me. And even though she's not necessarily doing it for me, but I felt like I was part of that journey. I felt like she got me. I felt like I was part of the mission. And I think that there is something that every single one of us here can learn from that experience, how to build up hype over things that we've already created. I know the song. I have already seen the still from the video. I sort of know what it's going to be about, but I'm still there in anticipation. And how many of us have launched things, have sent that email, have done a live, and we didn't get that excitement. We didn't get that reaction back. So we decided that social media doesn't work for us. How many of us have done a launch and decided that product sucked when actually in reality it was just the lack of that excitement and taking our audience on the journey with us that was actually the problem. And as I sat there, I reflected on my emotions and I thought to myself, if Taylor Swift, who's crossed these different boundaries, who's permeated the general world of pop culture, can gather 250,000 people in the first 5 minutes of something premiering, and if she can get in the first hour of that video being premiered, 1 million people viewed that video. I only watched it once, so I didn't watch it twice, otherwise I would be there for hours and hours. But if she could get 1 million other humans to watch that video, something that she's already created, something that that she created hype for, that she only announced yesterday or the day before, and I could harness that energy and that reaction and create that same type of hype in my next launch, that would be mind-blowing. And if I could take some of the lessons that I've learned from her and just sit down and really think about what makes me a fan, that would be super, super valuable. So which is why we're talking about this today. So the first thing that I really learned, and I think that you can take away from this, is what do you stand for? AKA, what bugs you? For Taylor specifically, she was really bugged by the fact that someone else owned her masters. She wasn't given the opportunity, to buy them back. And the patriarchal world of the music industry was set up in such a way that this unfair thing happened to her. And instead of sitting there and thinking, oh my God, there's nothing I can do about it. Every time I'm going to listen to this song, every time something from Red plays, I'm going to get more and more annoyed. She was like, okay, well, what is the loophole in this? How can I create change in the industry? How can I go around this? So that's what she did. She decided, I stand for owning my music. I stand for bringing eyeballs onto this huge issue so that other young artists don't fall for the same thing, so that there are better safeguards in the industry. And I think that when we hone in on what is it that I stand for and what is it that I stand against, and I can feel my clients rolling their eyes internally being like, how many times has she said this to me? But this is why it's so important. What do you stand for? And is it coming through in your marketing? Because I probably wouldn't have been quite as excited for Red. That's probably a lie, but still, I probably wouldn't have been half as excited for Red if I wasn't invested in the mission. If I didn't understand that every time Taylor's version like plays on Spotify, Taylor herself is making more money. And I want her to make more money. I want her to reap the rewards of her hard work. So she's made me invested in this mission. She's made me get excited. And not only has she made me excited, but she's taken the whole world on that journey. So the first thing is, are you clear in what you stand for and what do you stand against? Because let me tell you, I've done the business thing where I've just made money for the sake of money and it was fine. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with not having a heart-centered mission. I think it's fine. We're all grown-ups. We can just do the things that we do for the sake of it. But if you're like me, that probably isn't very fulfilling for you and you have a bigger dharma, you have a bigger mission at the heart of who you are, and you probably stand for some cool stuff. Like, you probably stand for some really, really good things. And does your audience know? Does your audience know what you stand for and what you stand against? Because I know what Taylor stands for and I'm there with her. Like, I'm going to shake it off. I'm going to like re-listen to Red was, oh my God, this weekend was just a Red freaking party. I remembered all of my past failed relationships. I remembered all of the crying. I bought a red scarf to like be in solidarity. And I just feel like a lot of us could use this lesson. And it's one of the things that I see most often that is just not clear in marketing. Do you know what you stand for? Do you know what you're against? We all want to have that heart-centered mission. And yeah, like talking about money all the time is fine if you're a business owner who markets to business owners. But I find that super fans get more invested in what you stand for and what you stand against. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is, do you know your customer? This is something that is, again, like basic 101, but something that I see so many people miss. Do you know who your ideal soulmate client is? This is why I have the Soulmate Client Accelerator, because I feel like 95% of people don't actually know who their ideal person is. Taylor Swift, to use that example again, knows her fans. I watched Seth Meyers' interview with her. Look it up. It's like 10 minutes of goodness. And she sat there and she was like, my fans tell me what they want and I listen. She stalks her comments. She reads the notes. Back in Tumblr days, oh, I loved my Tumblr days. Back in Tumblr days, she would be talking to people in the comments. She built her network talking to her clients. And there are, I kid you not, I speak to dozens of women who want to avoid social media like the plague. And if we're looking at the example of Taylor Swift, who can get 1 million people to look at a video of a song that we all know, a song that she's already released before, and she can get 1 million people excited to watch that debut, I want you to ask yourself, how many hours has she spent learning her ideal client? How many hours has she spent talking to her ideal soulmate person? How many hours has she spent thinking about what do the fans want? She gives people scavenger hunts inside of her stuff because she knows that fans will love it. So if you can implement just a tiny bit more interaction, like optimize for conversations, not for conversions. This is one of my golden rules of social media marketing. If we're talking to people, particularly if you're under that 10K stage, we want to be really, like I'm going to keep saying really, but we want to genuinely be focused in on who is my ideal client and am I speaking to her? Or am I just like producing really dull, boring as F copy that doesn't actually do anything for my ideal soulmate person, that isn't talking to them, that isn't calling them out, that isn't doing really much of anything? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, give me a snake emoji. Wrong era, but anyway, give me a snake emoji in the comments if you know what I mean. Because I really feel like so many of us have done the soulmate client avatar exercise and we all roll our eyes at it. It's in every single course. It's like marketing 101. But in reality, the truth is that knowing your client is going to be the best moneymaker for you. If you know who your ideal soulmate person is and you can make your business all about improving that client experience, you'll be able to get even a fraction of the connection that Taylor has with her audience, who people like me will buy red scarves and sit there in Starbucks and eagerly anticipating a video. People like, me will go and re-buy that album, even, and get those goodies. And the mind-blowing thing is that she can release a album that we already know and have and add more goodness based on what the fans told her they wanted. Like, I think she mentioned somewhere that there is a 10-minute version of this song, and everyone was like, oh my God, I want to hear the 10-minute version of the song, please. And she went back into the archives and she added more. She's always thinking about the client experience first and foremost. And I think if you can implement even like 1/10 of that energy into your business, you'll see your business transform, because there is nothing better in terms of your time spent than increasing that customer interaction, than making your customers happier with what you have to give. So that's thing number 2. Thing number 3 is, do you have a brand that gets people excited? Very aligned to point number 2, but to me, like the red. So today's video, if you haven't seen it, I will link it up in the comments after I sign off. But today's video was red, like literally. The whole concept was, there is, the guy that left her. She releases a 10-minute mini film, which I will not be able to contain my excitement if I talk about it. But she releases this 10-minute mini film, and there is like this red scarf that's present, and then the red scarf turns up again. It's like a red whatever box that she gives the new wife, whatever. Like, this probably doesn't make sense if you haven't seen the video. But the point being is that, like, the album is called Red. There's this red scarf that people zeroed in on. And there is this video that she releases, which is like, and the promo for this video is a white, beautiful wedding cake, and then a finger with a ring that is, again, like in Taylor folklore exists, right? And she swipes the cake and it's red inside. Now, being a fan and knowing what those 3 things mean, I cannot tell you the squeal that I emitted this weekend when I was like, oh my God, the cake is red. And like, that's branding. Branding is how you make people feel. And whenever I look at any of her materials, whenever I look at any of her album releases, I get so excited and enthralled and hooked in on her brand. I know what she stands for. I know she knows who I am. And I know that she's putting in those brand triggers that get me excited, that get me hooked and turned up. So for example, for you, as an actionable example, maybe there's something that you love, maybe there's something that you do, maybe it's something that can be your signature that people think about when they think of you, right? I sent an email a while ago asking people like for brand association words, and a lot of people said red lipstick, because I happen to like wearing red lipstick. And I will wear bold colors. Doesn't mean that I'm forever wearing red lipstick. It just means that that's something that people associate with my brand. So strategically speaking, maybe I can implement more of that going forward. For one of my clients, that's butterflies. She gets a bunch of butterfly themed things. People send her butterfly postcards. People will gift her butterfly containers and things. They'll send it to her PO box. One of my best business friends, she loves Starbucks cups. So people who travel around the world will get her limited edition travel cups. And those are her fans. They're excited. They go into a Starbucks specifically to gift her this thing. That's what I mean by a standout brand. What is it about you that gets people excited? What is it about you that you can put forward? And it doesn't have to be something hugely big, but what is it part of your personality? Do you like leopard print things? Do you have a particular affinity for a drink? Are you into a certain TV show? Are you, into, I don't know, I was talking about Dungeons and Dragons to someone just recently. And that was something that we connected over. I'm a geek. I like to read a lot of books. I always have 101 things on the go. A lot of my clients are very much the same because they're they're a mirror, right? They're a reflection of what I'm putting out. And therefore, it's no wonder that I'm bringing like-minded people in. right? So for me, do you have this standout brand? Because whenever I look at Taylor Swift, I get excited because her branding is so on point. I get excited that she can take something that already exists, i.e. this theme of red, and weave it through everything for this specific album. And I'm sure the next time she will release something, it will be again an archive of the branding of that body of work. And, you know, the way that she described it was, this is the relic of a moment in time. And I love that. I think that a lot of us sometimes forget that we can evolve and the things that we like can evolve. But at this moment in time, who are you? Who do you stand for? Who do you stand against? What is the best reflection of you at this moment in time? Maybe in 50 years' time, I'll be wearing blue lipstick, and that's totally fine. That'll be my brand then. But up until this point, people are going to associate certain things with you, and that's totally fine, right? But you want to be very, very mindful of what that is and build that intentionally. So that's thing number 3. 2 more to go. I think if you implement those first 3 before Christmas, I genuinely think you'll book more clients. I genuinely think you'll have more business. I genuinely think your 2022 is going to look so different because you've put those 3 basic things in play. There are 2 more that I want to go into that are bonuses that I think all of us can implement over time. Those are the things that I'm going to be looking into putting more and more into my business and into my program specifically, so that they create more of that brand loyalty and more of that hype. So thing number 4 is the scavenger hunt aspect or gamification. I have recently gone on really, like, from, I don't know, maybe July or so onwards, I've been really excited reading about how we can use more gamification in our programs to get people to actually complete them. How we can get into the brains. I'm a brain geek as well. I love brain stuff. So for me, it's really, really important to look at how can I actually get my people to complete more of the things that they signed up for. Because there is something crazy going on in the course industry where only 3% of people who buy courses complete them. 3%. That was the last statistic that I read. I think it was like 17 originally, but 3. Can you imagine? So we want to start to think about gamifying our marketing. We want to start to think about how can we create more of that scavenger hunt aspect in our launches, in our programs. How can we get people to be excited about the things that we're putting out? That's thing number 4. And thing number 5 is honestly to stop reinventing the wheel. Red existed 10 years ago. It's an album that she already had. A lot of the marketing for it, I would bet, probably hasn't changed that much in terms of how she's approaching the different colors. Like, the concept already existed. She's not sat there thinking, oh, I need to create 5 new albums to buy back my old ones. She sat there thinking, how can I reclaim my legacy? How can I use what I already have? How can I go into my archive and grab more of the songs that already exist? How can I really show up for my fans and take what I already have built and build upon it? So many of us, myself included, I'm calling myself out here, in those first few years of business, just create, and reinvent the wheel and think, what more can I do? What more can I do? And I'm sat here asking you to stop doing that, take a step back and think, what can I build upon? What is my foundation that I'm building upon? And what can I really double down on to create more of those good results? Most of us don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to double down on what is working really, really well. So that would be my 5 top things that you can, lessons that you can take from Taylor Swift, and specifically her Red relaunch. Go forth and watch the video. It's amazing. And I hope you loved this. If you like this video, the best thing to do would be to invite your friends to this community. I'm going to be spending a lot more time in here, we're going to have a lot more opportunities for you to submit your stuff for basically audits, feedback, coaching, all of that good stuff. So if you love this video, there's going to be a lot more coming your way. Do all the things, like, follow the group, and I will see you in my next video very, very soon. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.